Welcome, welcome. We are on to week 2 of our goal setting series here in 2026. In this video, we'll be talking about the 10 most common nutrition process-oriented goals we see with our clients. I'm gonna run through all 10 of these sort of rapid fire, and then I also will timestamp each of them. We do a little bit more details. This is not meant to be a to-do list for anybody. This is meant to be more of an index of ideas. So if you're in a bit of a funk or you're kind of just looking for inspiration, this can be a good resource for you. So going through the 10 rapid fire. Number 1, we have tracking food. For most of our clients, this means hitting a calorie and protein target daily. Number 2 is capping meals out in a given week. Number 3 is capping/no alcohol in a given week. Number 4 is weekend meal prep. Number 5 is repeatable meals and times that they're eating those meals. Number 6 is high frequency weigh-ins. Number 7 is simplifying meals. Number 8 is a fiber anchor. Number 9 is a protein anchor. And number 10 is planning indulgences. So that's the whole list, and now we'll break them down one by one of why these can be helpful. Of course, starting off with number 1 of tracking food, mainly having a daily calorie target. This really is the holy grail of a process, sort of daily goal that one can focus on to control their body composition. This does take effort, this does take consistency, but if your back's up against the wall, you're looking for a no BS way to change your body composition, this is where you should start. There's simply nothing else that's going to match your awareness to everything that you're eating. And also, it's simply math and science. Your body will respond whether you're trying to put on muscle or lose body fat if you're tracking your food super religiously. If you're very new to the idea of tracking food, I will link a previous video we did a couple of years back going through the step-by-step process of how to use a food scale, track food in the app, that entire thing. Tracking food is very straightforward. If you want to dot every I, cross every T, that's the method you should go with, and why it's also the most common process-oriented goal we see with our successful clients. Of course, this goal can shape itself in many different ways. You don't have to say, I'm going to track everything I eat on a food scale 7 days a week. You can commit to, I'm going to track my food Monday through Friday, or I'm just going to try to hit my calorie goal and kind of not focus on protein for the moment. So the umbrella is just simply you're tracking your food with some target and some frequency there. Moving on to number 2, this is capping meals out. And what I mean by capping is a client will set the expectation, sort of a rule for themselves of, I will have 3 or fewer meals away from home. It could be 2, it could be 1, whatever they kind of feel like is sustainable for them. When you go out to a restaurant, especially a sit-down restaurant, you can maybe disregard the Chipotles and the Cavas where that's a little bit more controlled of environment. But at a sit-down place, you are playing with fire, right? Almost everything on the menu is high calorie. The portions are bigger than you're used to. It's usually a social situation where you're more likely to get appetizers and drinks and things like that. So we, of course, educate our clients on better things to get in certain scenarios. But ultimately, if you want to be successful, the less you can be in that environment, the better. You go to a Chinese restaurant, you go to a barbecue place, you go to a pizza place, to be blunt, there's not that many good things on the menu. So one of the best things you can do is simply to walk in that fire fewer times. So if you can cut it back from 5 to 2, that's a very successful goal we see for clients. Number 3 here is a similar idea with alcohol. Someone may put a cap on themselves of maybe 2 drinks or less. We actually probably see the most common, which is people just trying to abstain entirely. And alcohol is unique in a way in that, of course, it has empty calories, much like soda. There's no fullness, no satiety that comes with drinking those types of calories. But also, it tends to lead a lot of people to overeating, right? It reduces your inhibition, it reduces your mindfulness. All of these things just make it harder to also eat healthy. So if you're at a restaurant and you have 2 drinks, going back to the idea of selecting a healthy option, it probably reduces that likelihood. So it can compound things very quickly. Not to mention alcohol may impact your sleep, which may impact your recovery, which may impact your motivation to work out the next day. So it's a little bit different as eating a cupcake, where cupcake, 200 calories, it's kind of empty and you move on. It can have more of a downstream effect. So for a lot of our clients, that's an easy place to think about if they're overdoing it there. Again, maybe they set a rule of X number of drinks in a week, or most commonly people just say, I'm not drinking for the foreseeable future, and that works well for them. Number 4 on the list is some level of weekend meal prep habit. This should be quite obvious as well. When you have the routine of meal prep, you know what you're having for breakfast, know what you're having for lunch, and it's ready to go. You wake up in the morning, you're commuting to work, all you have to do is like take out your Tupperware of ground turkey, black beans, sweet potato, it's there. It takes you 10 seconds. When you're at work, it takes you 2 minutes to microwave it. The best way to explain the value to someone with meal prep is you can take a couple of hours, commonly on a Sunday. You have decided in that window, let's call it 2 hours, that I'm gonna eat healthy. And you can make 10 or 15 meals in that 2 hours. Now you have outsourced that decision making for a huge number of your meals in the future. So now, Monday at lunch, you don't have to be at this fork in the road and think, do I want to eat healthy or do I not? Tuesday at lunch, do I want to eat healthy or do I not? You already decided on Sunday what you're eating for, maybe in this case, lunch, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's been made for you. Like you're the best version of yourself when you had high desire, high intention, maybe low stress on the weekend, made that future decision for you when maybe your work day got scrambled or your kid was late on a soccer practice and things got chaotic. You think yourself, oh, thank God I don't have to cook dinner right now. Thank God I don't have to go somewhere for lunch. It's right here in my fridge at work. The more prepared you can be, the better. Coming up at number 5 here, this is repeatable meals and times. This sort of feeds into number 4 with meal prep, but what I mean by things being repeatable is a common process-oriented goal for someone could be, I'm gonna make sure I eat breakfast in this window, maybe 7 to 8, and then lunch in this window, 12 to 1, and then a snack in this window, 3 to 4, whatever kind of works with their flow and their schedule. And why that being repeatable can be very impactful is really 2 main things here. The first thing is, when you have that sort of organization during your day, say if you eat lunch at noon and there's a temptation for you to eat a snack at 2 o'clock. If you know you're always gonna be eating between 3 and 4 because that's very repeatable for you, it's very easy for you to be like, I don't need to eat right now. I got that snack coming up in 45 minutes. I packed a protein bar, an apple for today. So the second benefit here is that it allows your hunger throughout the day to be a lot more predictable, the more of a routine and schedule you can be on. So let's say if I typically have 500 calories for breakfast around 7 o'clock, I know how that fills me up, how long it's gonna take me to get hungry again. This level where your hunger, you wake up and you're a 6, hunger, you eat and your hunger goes down to a 2, you go up to noon, your hunger is at 8, you eat again, it's a 3, and you kind of can be very predictable with that because for so many of us, bad food choices happen when we're hungry and we're not prepared, right? Because you kind of have this panic mode of I'm starving, I don't have the time to think about anything healthy, I just want to eat something, let's go get Pizza Hut, right? Or whatever it may be. Of course, none of these process-oriented goals are mandatory, but on average, the more predictable you can make your day with meals and with time, you're just, again, playing with fire a lot less. You're making the whole game easier, which is a theme we try to educate our clients on. Don't make it hard. Don't make it macro Tetris. Don't eat breakfast one day, then skip it the next day. Can you be successful with that? Sure, but you're making it more chaotic than it needs to be. Moving on to number 6. This is high frequency weigh-ins. Technically, not a nutrition goal, but of course it'll help you with your body composition. So the disclaimer here is we don't really care where our client's body weight moves from Monday to Tuesday or Tuesday to Thursday or whatever. The reason why this is beneficial for people is it helps them with some short-term accountability. It nudges you into better choices, kind of just unconsciously. Because when you have to kind of get on that scale and check the scoreboard every 24, every 48 hours, you tend to behave a little bit better than if you can just eat something and, I'll weigh in later, I'll pretend that didn't happen. Say you're eating dinner on a Thursday and you finish your healthy meal and you've hit your calorie intake for the day, hit your protein intake for the day, you're pretty much full, but you think, oh, we do have some of that leftover cake in the fridge. I really want to eat that. If you've already pre-committed to weighing in, you are way less likely just to go eat that cake mindlessly. Because in the back of your head is, man, if I eat a half a piece of cake, it's 500 calories, I may weigh in heavy tomorrow. I don't want to see that, right? It nudges you into better choices simply by increasing your awareness there. Another analogy I'll share with clients to kind of prove this point is, it reminds me of that annoying professor who gave you pop quizzes a lot. They would say, you may want to read chapter 17. There may be a quiz on Monday. And you're like, oh. And they would do it. They would call you out and they'd be that quiz. And maybe the first week you'd be like, they're not going to do a pop quiz. I'm not going to read that chapter. And then they do that pop quiz and you go get a 3 out of 10. You're like, damn, I need to read this chapter or whatever. So probably every week you now get in the routine of reading that chapter because just the fear to some extent of them doing the pop quiz. And maybe sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't. But guess what? You're way more likely to read the damn chapter, to actually do the work with that little bit of accountability there. Same thing could be said for the weigh-ins. It allows you to check yourself with some of that BS every few days. Moving on to number 7 here. This is simplifying meals. For so many people, I think the idea of eating healthy is a complex idea, is a very time-intensive idea. They may see something on Instagram of someone chopping up onions and getting the pesto out and roasting the garlic and the oven's on. They got 4 different pans and 9 different ingredients and they think, oh, that's way too much. I can't do that. Let's just go get Chick-fil-A tonight, right? So if you set the goal of simplifying meals, one thing I'll kind of challenge clients on is like a 3-ingredient meal. So that may be a lunch that's like ground chicken, rice, sweet potato. You only get 3 ingredients. There's nothing magical about that, of course, but what it helps people do is think, oh, building a healthy meal isn't super complex. Helps them have less time with food preparation, less time with dishes and etc. And you can imagine when you do that, you almost lower the barrier. Now your sustainability and your confidence to do it is a lot easier. That's one of the biggest concern people have with eating healthy is that it takes too much time and it's too complicated. So if those are barriers for you, they don't have to be. You really can simplify your meals and still be successful. Moving on to number 8 here. This is a fiber anchor. So what I mean by this is a common goal we'll give clients for a daily process is at every major meal, so breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you must have a fruit, vegetable, or whole grain. So that is a fiber anchor every maybe 4 to 6 hours for them. This is very helpful because fiber does promote fullness and satiety. So you can imagine if you have these big fiber rocks in your day, you are way less likely to snack in between those and simply just kind of get more full so you can tide yourself over the entire day. Fiber is not super sexy. Most people don't love eating oatmeal or beans or whole grain pasta. But going back to the idea I mentioned earlier in the video, when you can promote fullness and satiety every couple of hours, you make the whole game easier. We all know if it fits your macros, you can eat Pop-Tarts and ice cream and whatever the hell you want and still lose weight mathematically. But that doesn't always give you the best chance to be successful long term because similar to eating out with a high frequency, you are playing with fire. Some people can play with fire and still be successful, but on average, of course, the lower you can make your hunger and your cravings, the better. A fiber anchor really does that for a lot of people. Number 9 here is similar. It is a protein anchor. So just like fiber, we will tell someone, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you must have a major source of protein, and often we'll give someone an actual target based upon their daily protein goal. So for someone like myself, I try to eat about 170 grams of protein per day. My anchor is about 40. If I don't hit at least 40 grams of protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you do the math, that's 120. It's very unlikely I'm even gonna hit my protein goal at the end of the day. If I have 12 grams of protein for breakfast, can I eat whatever that would be, 158 between noon and 8 o'clock? Yeah, but I put my back up against the wall here, right? Because protein is a macronutrient where it's not super convenient to consume a lot at once, right? Most of us could eat 40 grams of fat in a sitting if we wanted to, or 100 grams of carbs. Most of us can't eat 100 grams of protein right in front of your face, right? That's like over a pound of chicken. It's a lot of protein all at once. So by having the protein anchor goal, it does help a little bit with satiety, similar to fiber. Importantly, it really increases the probability you're gonna reach your daily protein goal at the end of the day. And number 10, the final process-oriented goal we see with our successful nutrition clients is planned indulgences. So this could take a shape in many different ways. Let me give you a couple of examples here. Some people will follow a diet, whether it's tracking macros, paleo, name the thing, and they will simply say, I'm gonna eat all good stuff, and that's their intention. And we all kind of know no one just eats all good stuff day after day, week after week, till the day they die. Everyone's gonna have some alcohol or pizza or ice cream, whatever their vice is. The people that don't kind of plan those indulgences and they're, whether they know it or not, they're pretty much trying to stack up perfect day after perfect day and then force themselves some level of breaking, and then it ends up in they eat an entire pepperoni pizza on day 21 because they just couldn't take it anymore. They couldn't eat nothing but chicken and brown rice and broccoli meal after meal. They tend to be successful long term because that is a very yo-yo approach. They're very strict, they're very flexible, they feel bad about that, they're very strict again. That can be a very emotional way to go about your journey, especially if you're trying to lose body fat. I would much rather tell someone, okay, you're eating 2,000 calories a day. We may give our clients like about 20% of their intake if I say, do whatever the hell you want, right? So 20% of 2,000, my math is good here, is about 400 calories. I would rather someone eat 400 calories every single day of whatever the hell they want, right? Ice cream, cake, alcohol, M&Ms, whatever you want to do, because that really allows that person to have a day, a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and think, oh, I had oatmeal and a protein shake, and then I had a pork chop and sweet potato, then I had an apple and a protein bar, then I had some pasta with ground chicken, but at the end of the day, I gotta have some nice ice cream. And that feels sustainable for them day after day, week after week. They're not kind of pretending like they can have these perfect days and they're never gonna crave anything fun again. So if you actually can plan those indulgences, it can be a lot more controlled, and it's not gonna blow you up. You're not gonna gain 5 pounds on a weekend. So the idea here is, right, you're gonna indulge, right? Again, you can call me a liar if you want, but I bet if you're watching this video, you're gonna indulge the next 10 years if I had to imagine. So you could either try to follow a perfect diet and then completely go off the rails when you indulge, and then you have a hard time even going back to your diet, this very yo-yo approach. Or you can say, I'm gonna plan these indulgences in, maybe every day I'll have a 400 calorie treat, or maybe once a week I'll have an untracked meal. Again, we're just talking very high level here, but some structure to when you say, I'm gonna allow myself to step out of my box, but there's gonna be some level of cap here. I'm not gonna allow it to go over. That tends to be a goal and a practice that is a lot more sustainable for people. It's kind of taken 5 steps forward, 1 step back, and that makes them feel confident, as opposed to taking 10 steps forward, 8 steps back and think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I failed that much. You feel like a failure, right? You're almost planning for that I wouldn't call it a mistake, but planning for flexibility so you know it's a part of your long-term plan. You don't feel bad about it in that way, as opposed to thinking if I eat anything that's not on this list of foods that are good, I have failed. And that's a wrap for this video. Again, we wanted to provide 10 of the most common process-oriented goals we see with our clients who are successful in their nutrition plans. If you have any questions, let me know. And next week, we post in week 3 of our goal setting series.